Since 1969, the incomparable Al Fracassa has been the architect of one of the most storied programs, not just in the state, but in the nation. A father figure, a mentor, a renowned coach, Al Fracassa is nothing short of a living legend.
Now all of a sudden a guy comes up to me in the stands and he says, do you have a kid who's playing? And I said, yes. He says, well, I haven't seen you around because I'm the father of one of the Houston players and you must be from Michigan or you have a kid on the Michigan team, right? I says, yes, I do, as a matter of fact. And that was the extent of it. He says, well, where do you come from? I said, well, I live in Farmington, but I teach at Brother Rice place. It's a suburban school outside of Detroit. You probably would not be familiar with it. He says, Al Fracassa, this is in Houston, Texas. I says, yes, Al Fracassa coaches at Brother Rice. He says, I heard him talk at a clinic in New Mexico. He said he's one of the greatest speakers around, and that program he has at Brother Rice is unbelievable.
Al Fracassa grew up in the middle of Detroit and was an avid athlete. At Northeastern High School, Al would later be named the Detroit Public High School Player of the Year in baseball. He also played basketball, and for the first time in his life, he went out for football. The love affair began.
And he'd tell us stories about how when he was in Detroit and when he went to high school, how he went, he got his uniform, and then he put it on. And he went out back in the alley behind his house, and so no one could see him, and he would run around, and he said he had so much pride in his uniform, and he taught us those things. I mean, he'd say, every Friday night before your game, take your helmet home and polish it and clean your shoes, and you'd be cutting the threads off your uniform, and he really wanted you to look like a professional.
Fracassa earned a scholarship to Michigan State as a quarterback. This was the golden age of Spartan football. MSU had a 28-game winning streak, and they were national champs in 1952. Unfortunately for Al, there were 3 quarterbacks ahead of him, and they were all All-Americans. But as the scout team QB, he really learned the game inside and out. After a stint in the Army, he became a teacher and coach. And after a successful number of years at Royal Oak Shrine, in 1969, Al took on his next challenge, Brother Rice. 42 years later, he's still here because coaching is much more than X's and O's.
I think it teaches kids how to be tough mentally. I think it helps them realize that maybe depending on the teammate is important. And I think it teaches life's family values and being part of something that is bigger than you.
There's not a finer person around than Coach Fracassa, and I think that's where it begins. And I think as a player, or even as a parent, you want your kids to play for somebody like that that's going to teach you, integrity, and to stay on the right path, make good decisions, and understand that there are consequences. And I think he did that for all the players that stayed and did what was asked of them.
I want to be like him. I want to be that strong and be that important of a person in people's lives. I think it's just something that you want to try to emulate as much as you can.
If you know Vince Lombardi, and I'm sure you do, but there's a lot of people out there that don't know who Vince Lombardi is. They named the NFL World Championship trophy after him, and this guy's an Italian guy like Al, and he's about the same size as Al, but and about the same vinegar in his blood as Al, if not maybe less. Al had a lot of vinegar in his blood, but he was a guy of morals and God and discipline and work hard and work ethic, and those are a lot of the qualities that I utilized in my life to persevere, if you will, to the next level, both academically and athletically. So all of those virtues, if you will, were extremely impressionable on me as a young man.
Vince Lombardi's grandson would one day play for Al. Now, since 1974, Fracassa has introduced a team motto, and sometimes they can come from the most unlikely of sources. After the mythical state championship season of 1974, Al was racking his brain for the perfect follow-up. He noticed a saying on a tea bag.
It's got contentment with past accomplishments, stifle future achievement. I looked at it, I said, there it is, that's it.
These sayings would be the rallying cry for every season, but a few, let's just say, took some getting used to.
My senior year was power of teamwork, so try to put that into a pregame cheer. But I definitely think that it was, still a good team motto.
Don't let them fool you. They love it. Even this year's motto holds personal significance.
State forte, which means stay strong. And it's just, we will yell it to each other during like the hardest drills, and it definitely motivates you, especially when he says it too. It's a good motto. I'm happy with it.
Al has led Rice to 11 state finals appearances with 7 state championships, every one with a unique story to tell. The Hart Boys' dad, Kevin, was captain of the '74 team that was awarded the state championship by the press. They are arguably considered the greatest Brother Rice football team in its illustrious history, and they knew it.
We bought the coaches a state championship ring. We had 6 more games to go, and we passed the hat, and each one of us contributed about $50 to $60. At that time, that was a lot of money. And we went to Jostens and bought the coaching staff state championship rings. And if Coach Fracassa had ever heard about that, he would have killed us. But that's how it was. We said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go undefeated, and we're going to win the state championship after the 3rd game.
And to bring it full circle, the latest Warrior team to earn state supremacy, 2005. This was a team that never gave up, and the hurdle was Orchard Lake St. Mary's. The 2004 season for Brother Rice ended at the hands of the Eaglets in the playoffs, and despite losing twice in a row to Orchard Lake St. Mary's to end the 2005 regular season, the Warriors finally upended OLSM in the playoffs and eventually earned the state crown.
I didn't want to even take off my helmet. Just knowing that it was my last game, to wear Brother Rice across my chest was hard. Didn't even want to take my helmet off and stuff, so it was very emotional, but it was so gratifying. It's exactly what you dream about, and it was good to get the win for Coach Fracassa.
Football is a test of character, and when an athlete leaves your program, Coach Fracassa, he may not be a great player, but you have made him a great person.
In 1997, after NFL wideout Pete Mitchell nominated his old high school coach, Al was named the National High School Coach of the Year. Throughout his career, he even cared for those who were not his own.
When I got my football scholarship to Michigan State, I went out to my mailbox a couple days later, and there's Brother Rice stationery, and I opened it up, and it was a letter from Al Fracassa. And he said, Jeff, you're not only representing Catholic Central, you're representing the Catholic League. Make us proud. If there's anything I can ever do for you, let me know, Al Fracassa.
3 times he was offered a coaching position on the Michigan State staff, twice by the Detroit Lions. Instead, in Al's mind, he reached the top of the mountain a long time ago. He's been married for 54 years to his high school sweetheart. And, oh yeah, he's the winningest coach in Michigan high school history.
I have no regrets, It's money isn't everything. It's how you live your life, and I'm pretty simple, and I got a wonderful wife, and I enjoy working with young people. I always get older, but they're always the same age, and this kind of makes me feel young all the time.